I still remember the exact moment the police officer looked at me and said, "Sir, your wife filed a report accusing you of harassment at the wedding." My stomach dropped so hard I thought I'd be sick right there in our living room. 3 days after Melissa's big fancy wedding, my entire life was suddenly on fire, and the woman I'd loved for almost 8 years was the one holding the match. Let me take you back a little, because this didn't come out of nowhere. My wife Emily and her best friend Melissa have been glued at the hip since middle school. Melissa's always been a lot. Loud, dramatic, needs every room to spin around her. I kept my distance, stayed polite at barbecues and birthdays, but I never trusted the way her eyes lit up when things got messy. Emily swore she'd outgrown the teenage drama, so I let it slide. For years. Then Melissa got engaged. Overnight, our lives became the Melissa show. Emily was maid of honor, so every weekend was bridal showers, dress fittings, seating chart meltdowns. I didn't mind helping. I even got dragged into the wedding party because Emily needed me there. The actual wedding day was beautiful, held at this gorgeous vineyard outside Charlotte. I spent most of it hanging with the groomsmen, taking pictures, eating cake, dancing with Emily when she finally got a break. I talked to Melissa twice, maybe, both times with a dozen people around. That was it. 3 days later I walk in from work and Emily's sitting at the kitchen table, face like stone, eyes swollen. Before I can even put my keys down she says, "Melissa told me you cornered her at the reception. That you said disgusting things about her dress and tried to kiss her when no one was looking." I laughed at first, because it was so absurd. Then I saw Emily wasn't laughing. She believed her. I told her it was impossible. There were photographers everywhere. I was never alone with Melissa, not for 1 second. Emily just kept repeating, she was crying, Brian. She sounded terrified. I have to support my friend. When I brought up the times Melissa had stirred up fake drama before, Emily accused me of gaslighting her. 10 days later, there's a knock at the door. 2 officers. Emily had taken Melissa to the station and helped file a police report against me. In our state, a third party can do that. I got questioned in my own house while Emily packed a bag and left for her parents. I sat on the couch that night staring at the walls, trying to understand how the person who knew me best could think, even for a minute, that I'd do something like that. I hired a lawyer the next morning. Drained half our savings. Started pulling wedding footage, texting every guest I could think of, begging them to remember where I was all night. Meanwhile, the rumors spread like poison. Neighbors crossed the street. Friends stopped texting. Someone unfollowed me at the grocery store. It was suffocating. 3 weeks in, Melissa suddenly calls the police and says, "Oh, oops, maybe she got me confused with another guy who looked similar." Just like that. A mix-up. The investigation closed, no charges. I thought that would be the end of it. It wasn't. I met Emily at a coffee shop to tell her I'd been cleared. I was shaking, waiting for relief, for tears, for her to say she was sorry. Instead she looked, almost disappointed. Said Melissa must have been confused and we should all just move on. When I asked how she could believe a stranger over her own husband, she got defensive, started talking about believing women and how I was being insensitive. That day I moved into a month-to-month apartment. I couldn't breathe in that house anymore. Emily kept texting, angry that I was abandoning the marriage over a misunderstanding. She still didn't get it. She still hadn't said sorry. Then one of Melissa's bridesmaids, Lauren, reached out. Asked to meet me at a park. She sat me down and showed me screenshots, texts from 3 other women Melissa had done this to, same exact story, accused their husband or boyfriend of hitting on her, watched the relationship explode, then quietly admit she might have been mistaken. One guy lost his job. Another got served divorce papers before Melissa took it back. Lauren said Melissa targeted men whose wives she felt closest to, like she couldn't stand sharing their attention. That night Lauren told Emily everything, right in front of me. Emily went white. Excused herself to the bathroom and cried so hard I thought she'd break. When she came out, she finally apologized, really apologized, for the first time. Said Melissa had been planting tiny doubts about me for years, little comments here and there that added up. Said she'd been cheated on before we met and Melissa was the one who saved her back then. It made her blind. We tried to fix it. Scheduled couples therapy. Emily swore she'd cut Melissa off. For a minute I thought maybe we could survive. But then my lawyer dug deeper. Turns out Melissa had filed actual police reports against 2 other men in the last 5 years. Same lie. One guy almost went to jail. And Emily might have known about at least one of them and never told me. A few days later, Melissa showed up screaming at Emily's workplace, calling me an abuser in front of her coworkers. Sent unhinged texts threatening to tell everyone the real truth. Emily finally got a restraining order. Even Melissa's brand new husband called us, horrified, after finding journals where she'd written out plans to expose me and several other guys. He left her that week. Emily stood by me through all of that, fierce, protective, filing paperwork, forwarding threats to the lawyer. We slept in the same bed again for a few nights, united against the crazy. But every time I looked at her I remembered the police in our living room and her walking out the door without a backward glance. Yesterday we sat down one last time. I told her the solidarity felt good, but it didn't erase the fact that when push came to shove, she chose Melissa over me in the worst way possible. That kind of trust doesn't just grow back. She cried, said she understood, and promised not to fight the divorce. So that's it. Papers are being drawn up. The restraining order against Melissa is permanent now, and we're moving forward with the civil suit. I kept the wedding album, ironically, because every photo proves I'm telling the truth. I'm 34 years old and starting completely over. But for the first time in months I can breathe. Have you ever had someone you loved believe the absolute worst of you without hesitation, and if so, how did you ever trust again?